A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, where we get you the day's top stories within the next 30 minutes from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. The Grand Alliance of the Janata Parivar gets a jolt in Bihar. Samajwadi Party leaves, claiming it's been given too few seats. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges conflict resolution through dialogue, expresses concern over the role of non-state actors across the globe. Former armed forces personnel deny reports of agreement on the one rank, one pension scheme. Demands accuse the government of shifting. And China parades its military might at the World War II event boycotted by Western leaders, announces a 3 lakh troop cut. Talking about cuts, here's the big one in the nation today. The Grand Ruling Alliance in Bihar suffered its major setback today. First, Samajwadi Party decided to opt out of the tie-up for the Bihar polls and deciding to go alone in the election. Samajwadi Party says that it feels humiliated by Nitish Lalu's offer of just 5 seats to contest. JDU President Sharad Yadav and RJD President Lalu Prasad rushed to meet Mulayam Singh Yadav after his party's decision. Here are the details.
पार्टी बिहार में अलग से चुनाव लड़ेगी, ये निर्णय पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड ने लिया है.
Just 4 days after JDU, RJD, Congress and Samajwadi Party leaders sharing dais in Patna during the Swabhiman rally, the alliance suffered a setback. Samajwadi Party has decided to quit the Grand Alliance, forged by 4 parties in Bihar for the forthcoming assembly elections. Miffed with the offer of marginal share of seats, Samajwadi Party will now contest elections on its own. Incidentally, SP chief Mulayam Singh Yadav is also the leader of the proposed umbrella party of 6 erstwhile constituents of Janata Parivar. The other alliance partners have tried to play down the development, saying there is still scope for reconciliation.
हम लोगों का जो गठबंधन है, जो साथ है, वो ठीक रहेगा. उसको बातचीत करेंगे और उसका हल मुझे मालूम है कि मुकम्मल निकाल लेंगे.
किन्हीं कारणों से उनको नाराजगी हुई होगी, तो लगातार हमारा कोशिश नीतीश जी का रहेगा कि देश पर संकट है. ये लड़ाई सांप्रदायिकता के जहर को निकालने की लड़ाई है.
It is the political duty of all the non-BJP parties to see that BJP is defeated. So I do not think that even though the news item I have seen, I think Mulayam Singh Yadav ji will rethink, and he also will join the fight of other secular parties to defeat the BJP.
This is the second setback for the alliance ahead of polls. Last month, NCP2 had pulled out citing similar reasons. On Thursday, there was another setback for RJD, whose senior leader Raghunath Jha quit the party to join SP. A former union minister Jha said he felt let down by the RJD. Meanwhile, Congress leaders met on Thursday to finalize the names of its candidates for the Bihar polls. Congress will be contesting 40 out of 243 seats. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
Meanwhile, the BJP and its allies have termed Samajwadi Party's decision to pull out as the beginning of the end for the Grand Alliance in Bihar. Reacting to the development, both BJP and the LGP said that the alliance was bound to crumble under its own weight due to inherent differences. The alliance was forged to keep out the BJP in Bihar, where it seeks to return to power after it broke its ties with Nitish Kumar's JDU.
ये तो होना ही था, काम निकल गया तो मुलायम सिंह जी को इन लोगों ने धोखा दे दिया. तो ये तो गठबंधन का इसका यही वसूल है, जिससे काम निकल गया उसके बाद धोखा दे देना.
हम तो शुरू से ही कर रहे थे कि गठबंधन नहीं लठबंधन है. पहले इन्होंने कहा था कि विलय होगा, फिर कहा गठबंधन होगा. हमने उसी समय कहा था कि न विलय होगा न गठबंधन होगा, ये लठबंधन होगा. तो लठबंधन चल रहा है.
Well, while alliances are being built and broken before the Bihar elections, the capital city Patna is awash with posters and hoardings put up by the political alliances led by the JDU and the BJP, hurling sarcastic retorts against each other. In fact, the voter isn't impressed by the poster war that has sprung up in the state even before the Election Commission has come out with the dates.
87% पुराना रीपैकेजिंग कर रहे हैं, कह रहे पैकेज दे रहे हैं। जिन मुद्दों पर मुझे गालियां दे रहे थे, खुद को भी 2,70,000 करोड़ रुपए का पैकेज लेकर के आना पड़ा।
The Chief Minister and the Prime Minister leading their alliances from the front, trying to provide the tipping point for their surcharged campaigns for the Bihar Assembly elections. The war of words is not limited to the rallies and the press meets alone. The sharp exchanges are showing up on posters, banners and hoardings. All along the roads and roundabouts in the capital city, Patna. While posters of the JDU, RJD and Congress alliance appeal for another chance for Nitish Kumar, the BJP hoardings mock the Chief Minister's claim of good governance. In another set of posters and banners, while the BJP questions the Nitish-Lalu political partnership, the JDU and RJD take potshots at Modi's unfulfilled promises. But on the ground, the voter doesn't seem to be amused by the strident poster war.
जितने भी सरकार की पैसा जो इन्वेस्ट किया जा रहा है पोस्टल में, प्रचार में, हेन में, तेन में, विभिन्न प्रकार में, अगर ये जनता में अगर इसको इन्वेस्ट किया जाता तो जनता की भलाई होती।
जनता पर खर्च करना चाहिए जो एडवर्टाइज पर खर्च हो रही है। जनता पर खर्च नहीं करके एडवर्टाइज पर खर्च किया जा रहा है।
नेता लोग के तो यही माने है कि किसी तरह अपना तरफ से झुकाव करें, लीगल अपना ही कर रहे हैं। सिंचाई पटवन करना चाहिए था, नहर निकालना चाहिए था।
The Election Commission is yet to announce the assembly election schedule, but neither coalition is ready to be left behind in sounding the bugle for the battle for the seat of power in Patna. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Patna.
Now, the Prime Minister has voiced concern over the role of non-state actors who control large territories across the world and unleash violence on an unsuspecting population. Urging conflicts to be resolved via dialogue, the Prime Minister also said that usual conflict resolution mechanisms have severe limitations.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Global Hindu-Buddhist Initiative on Conflict Avoidance and Environment Consciousness in New Delhi on Thursday. In a clear reference to growing conflicts among religions, communities and nation-states, the Prime Minister said that intolerant non-state actors are unleashing barbaric violence on the innocent.
The conflict in the first theme is among humans, religions, communities and nation-states, also between non-state actors and states and even the world. Intolerant non-state actors now control large territories where they are unleashing barbaric violence on innocent people.
Pushing for a world free of violence, Modi said conflict resolution must be achieved through dialogue.
It is my firm belief that the solution to the problem lies in dialogue. Earlier, it was believed that force indicates power. Now, power must come through the strength of ideas and the effective dialogue. We have seen the adverse effect of war. The first half of the 20th century was witness to the horror of 2 world wars.
Modi also said that it was time to shift from ideology, whether religious or secular, to philosophy. The 3-day event has been organized by the Vivekananda International Foundation. Besides India, representatives from Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Japan and Bhutan were also present. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The deadlock of the one rank, one pension scheme persists as the protest entered its 81st day today in the capital. Ex-servicemen say they feel insulted by the government for not coming up with any concrete proposal so far. Their reaction comes despite reports of the two sides having ironed out some of the sticking points.
Despite hectic parleys between the government and ex-servicemen, there seems to be no headway over the implementation of one rank, one pension. The veterans have accused the government of constantly shifting the goalpost and evading any concrete decision.
गवर्नमेंट की आज के दिन में इस बात पे कोई एक स्टेटमेंट नहीं है, कोई एक बंदा ऐसा नहीं जिसने कि आगे कहा कि ठीक है गवर्नमेंट ये करना चाहती है। हम जो भी ऑफर करते हैं, हम जो भी बात मानते हैं, वो वहां से गोल पोस्ट शिफ्ट कर देते हैं। नहीं हम तो ये मांग रहे हैं, तो हर रोज ही उनका ये मुद्दा बदल जाता है।
The ex-servicemen also denied seeking yearly increments. They said they may accept revision of pension once in 2 years instead of one as demanded earlier.
Some parties in the government are saying that we are asking for monthly and yearly increments. Now these are wrong words. We have never asked for increments. Let me explain to you. If a guy has put in 26 years of service in any particular rank, and if you have fixed his pension at 26 years service of the guy who is retiring today in the same rank, there is no question of any further increase.
Both sides are stuck at the date of implementing the scheme. While veterans insist on putting the base year at 2013-14, the government wants it pushed to 2015. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Turning focus to the a 3-day losing streak, the markets rose by more than 1% today. Investors bought beaten down stocks, while upbeat US markets overnight also improved sentiment. Both the Sensex and Nifty ended well off their intraday highs, yet the Sensex ended the day with gains over 300 points. Nifty to regain the 7,800 mark once again after the big fall last week. This comes, of course, after US stocks jumped almost 2% on Wednesday. Most of the Asian markets also ended higher today. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan addressed the 4th World Conference of Speakers of Parliament at the United Nations yesterday. She called on developed countries to take responsibility for protecting the global environment. As an example of efforts made in India that she said that could be replicated, she cited on an international scale. Mahajan rejected the goals or standards imposed from outside on developing countries for sustainable development or dealing with climate change.
Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas means participation of all and development for all. The finest example of inclusive growth has been witnessed in India when, at the call of our Prime Minister, millions of well-to-do people have voluntarily surrendered subsidy on LPG cooking gas to help the poor. A development means where human and nature coexist in productive harmony.
With that, let's take you through some more national news in Nationwide. The Supreme Court has asked the SIT on black money to submit the 4th progress report of its probe by the 7th of October. The court also asked the centre about the steps taken to implement the SIT's recommendations to bring back illegal money stashed abroad. The court has declared 28th of October as the next date of hearing. A former member of Sri Ram Sene was arrested for sharing a controversial tweet 4 days after writer M.M. Kalburgi was shot dead at his residence. He was shot dead last Sunday at his home in Karnataka's Dharwad by 2 gunmen. On Wednesday, police released the sketches of 2 suspects involved in the killing. 4 militants and 1 army personnel were killed in a night-long encounter in Kupwara. The encounter began on Wednesday night when the security forces were conducting a search operation. A large cache of arms and ammunition was recovered from the hideout. The flood situation remains grim in Assam, with 2 more deaths reported in the state. So far, 18 people have died and close to 9 lakh people have been affected. Sports Minister Sarbananda Sonowal visited the flood-affected areas and assured help from the centre. With that, we'll take a quick break here. Up next, we're getting you international news. Do stay with us.
Oil and gas exploration, high stakes and higher controversy. India set to ease rules to woo foreign investment, adopts revenue sharing model. How will it work? Watch the big picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back to the news tonight. Let's get to international news now. And China has pledged a cut in its military troops by 3 lakh soldiers. President Xi Jinping made the announcement as the country displayed its military might at a massive parade to commemorate its victory over Japan during World War II. Significantly, many Western leaders rebuffed the invitations to attend the parade, apparently unhappy about the guest list and the message that China would send with this show of strength.
Arrogant display of military might. This is how China commemorated the 70th anniversary of its victory over Japan in the World War II. A flag-raising ceremony and a 70-gun salute opened the grand ceremony at the Tiananmen Square in Beijing. Chinese President Xi Jinping attended the ceremony. World leaders in attendance included Russian President Vladimir Putin, South Korean President Park Geun-hye, and UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. The parade was a display of everything that was new and showcased China's military might. China unveiled its carrier killer missiles, its ballistic missiles, tanks and armored vehicles, many of them never before seen in public. Advanced fighter jets and bombers flew overhead in highly choreographed spectacle. But what came as a surprise was Jinping's announcement to cut down China's 2.3 million member People's Liberation Army by 3 lakh troops, still making it the world's largest standing military.
仇恨和战争只会带来灾难和痛苦。相互尊重、平等相处、和平发展、共同繁荣，才是人间正道。
Piecing together China's announcement and the mighty display, analysts suggest a shift towards naval strength amid a growing Pacific rivalry with the US. Meanwhile, Japan was disappointed with Jinping's speech, even as Japanese PM Shinzo Abe stayed away.
中華の和解の要素を含むものと、してほしい、このように伝えてきましたけれども、今回の習近平主席のスピーチ、そうした要素は見られなかった。 非常に残念だというふうに。
The grand parade concluded with the release of 70,000 doves and multicolored balloons symbolizing Chinese hope for peace. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, for more on this story, we are speaking to Professor B.R. Deepak, who's from the Center of Chinese and Southeast Asia Studies at JNU, joining us now from there. Professor, thanks so much for being here with us. You know, this big display that we saw of military might, but the cut being announced of 3 lakh troops, is there some symbolism here, or is it a genuine move by China to skim its military?
Well, there is a lot of, couple of takeaways from this military parade. One, the downsizing of Chinese army by 300,000 troops is not a new phenomenon. Since 80s and 90s, the Chinese has downsized almost 3.9 million troops, from its earlier strength of 6 million. So the goal of China is by 2050 to convert the Chinese army into a lean, mean, crack, integrated army that it would be prepared for an informatized warfare. Well, if you see that 300,000 troops have been reduced, so what does it mean? I think primarily it would like to divert the fund to equipment, weaponry, and that is, what we saw today was displayed by China during the parade. And moreover, I believe the reduction doesn't mean anything. It is the expenditure. The expenditure has been on rise. China is spending around 2.2%. And if you see if you compare it with the defense spending of the US, it is approaching, of course, the gap is huge. At the moment, it is spending around 129 to 30 billion US dollars, comparing US is, 500 plus a billion US dollars. I think the real aim of this reduction is to divert funding for the equipment, especially the Navy, to make a real blue water Navy, and also the Air Force, and the integrated lean and mean troop, so that is that is ready to project its power beyond Chinese borders. And in the words of Professor Xu of Chinese Academy of Military Sciences, to fight a global war on the lines of US. I think another takeaway from this military parade is President Xi Jinping's hold on the army and party alike, and moreover, to restore the confidence of the Chinese people and party in the army, because it has been impregnated by corruption, scandals, and the sacking and punishing of General Xu is a pointer in that direction. And Xi's campaign, corruption campaign, especially across the military and other government apparatuses, where he says that he won't spare the tigers and also the flies, is an indication that he is the man who is calling the shots
and he's calling the shots. But it's interesting that you're saying this, Professor, because this is coming at a time when China is, of course, seeing a huge economic crisis, in a sense, if you could speak, even though it is a planned move by the government. 3 lakh troops, where do you put them? What are they qualified for? That's also going to be another big concern for the general population of China.
No, I don't think this is a concern because they are planning this strategy not today. So they have initiated the modernization of Chinese forces and informatization of the Chinese forces since the 90s, especially after the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. And as I told you, that 3.9 million troops have been downsized, from the 6 million, and by by 2050. That is, when China is celebrating the 2 centenaries. One is the 100 years of founding of the People's Republic of China, and 100 years of the establishing the Communist Party. I won't be surprised if China reduces army by another 1 million. Forget about 300,000 soldiers. For example, U.S. at this point in time is having 1.3 million forces, but it is the it is the largest you can say superpower, seen as the policeman of the world. But I think the Chinese reduction, it should be also viewed in that context. Its goal is to have a lean and mean army that could fight a global war. I think the economic crisis there, it is a different thing. The overall economy of China, it is huge. It is 11 trillion US dollar economy, and I think it is not going to impact heavily on what the downsize is all
going to be. All right. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us and shedding some light on this story. Of course, the US is going to be looking at all those moves very closely. Meanwhile, the migrant crisis in Europe is getting worse by the day, with Hungary now becoming the flashpoint. There was chaos at the main railway station in Budapest after it opened doors to hundreds of migrants. In fact, they clamored to get on the trains traveling to Western Europe, despite an announcement that services were suspended indefinitely. More chaos followed after a train bound for Hungary's border with Austria was stopped some 35 kilometers outside of Budapest in the town of Bicske. In fact, migrants threw themselves onto the train tracks and fled from police, who tried to take them to a reception center. But the starkest jolt so far in the continuing crisis has come with this picture of a toddler's lifeless body washed ashore on a Turkish beach. He's become the face of the dangers faced by lakhs of people who flee their countries in hopes of a new life in Europe, despite the many risks involved. At the center of this growing humanitarian crisis is the European Union, which is hard-pressed to find a solution soon.
That Hungary did everything which was possible in order to keep the regulations. We created just now in the Hungarian parliament a new package of regulations. We set up a physical barrier, and all these together can provide a new situation in Hungary and in Europe from the 15th of September.
Well, migrant problem in Malaysia as well. That and more in Global Buzz now. A boat carrying 70 people capsized off Malaysia's west coast. At least 14 people were drowned. Malaysia's maritime officials said that the overloaded boat was carrying dozens of illegal immigrants heading for Sumatra in Indonesia. 28 people were killed and 75 others injured in two suicide bombings that targeted a Houthi-controlled mosque in Yemen's capital, Sana'a. A suicide bomber and a subsequent car laden with heavy explosion hit the mosque during prayers. Guatemalan President Otto Perez Molina resigned on corruption charges after a judge ordered his detention in a customs case. His vice president was jailed in the scandal that led to resignations of some cabinet ministers. The president will have to answer charges of illicit association, fraud and receiving bribes. A quick break here. Up next, we're getting you sports news, and Vishwanathan Anand finishes 9th in the Singerfield Cup after holding Magnus Carlsen to a draw in his last game.
Today we bring to you the Homeopathy Central Council Amendment Bill 2015.
There should be some provision to regulate the unchecked proliferation of the substandard institutions.
The central government here is trying to stop the admission process.
Why not stop the admissions there and then, the moment it is suggested by the CCH to the Ministry of Ayush?
Watch Law of the Land, Saturday at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get you some sports news now, starting with tennis. An action-packed day 3 at the US Open. Top seeds in both men's and women's categories advanced to the next round with easy wins. Defending champion and world number 1 Serena Williams struggled but advanced towards the first calendar Grand Slam since 1988 by defeating Dutch qualifier Kiki Bertens 7-6, 6-3. Serena overcame 34 unforced errors and 10 double faults to sustain her march towards history. In the men's singles, defending champion Marin Cilic powered his way into the third round, blasting home 19 aces to sweep past Russian Evgeny Donskoy 6-2, 6-3, 7-5. Meanwhile, two-time champion, 8th-seeded Rafael Nadal got off his second-round contest to a sluggish start but got back quickly in control to dispatch Diego Schwartzman 7-6, 6-3, 7-5. Novak Djokovic took time to warm up against Austrian Andreas Heider-Maurer but in fact raced to a 6-4, 6-1, 6-2 win that closed Wednesday's play at Flushing Meadows. Well, good news for Indians too at the US Open. That and more in Sports Beat now. Leander Paes and Martina Hingis ended the second round of the mixed doubles at the US Open with a comfortable straight-set victory in their opening tie. The fourth-seeded pair defeated Taylor Harry Fritz and C. Louis 6-2, 6-2. Meanwhile, Rohan Bopanna also won his first-round match in the men's doubles with his Romanian partner Florin Mergea. Vishwanathan Anand played out his 7th straight draw to finish 9th in the Singerfield Cup. The former world champion drew his final game against the current world champion Magnus Carlsen to end the tournament with 3.5 points. Levan Aronian of Armenia won the tournament with an impressive 6 points. The Jammu and Kashmir High Court has ordered a CBI probe into the multi-crore scam in the State Cricket Association. The court direction came after a PIL was filed by 2 cricket players in which former Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah is one of the respondents. The scam surfaced in July 2012. Italy, Belgium and the Netherlands will continue their quest for Euro 2016 as they feature in the qualifiers tonight. Last edition's finalists, Italy, will look to keep up the pressure on Group H leaders Croatia as they take on Malta in Florence. In the Group B match, Belgium will take on Bosnia and Herzegovina. In fact, Netherlands will play Iceland in Amsterdam in the Group A match. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night. See us again tomorrow.